That broadcast school has really paid off. CBS presents this program in color.
Hold it. I think you're going to like this picture.
Ready?
Ready?
Go.
Here's Mac Murphy. He's the man of the family.
Nothing more.
Here's Mac Murphy. Is the show with the most on the score. Well, there's never been in a press box. I talk with the shock. People like a room door. Yes, here's Mac Murphy. The fans come in a fan.
Fans talk to the fans.
And then put his on.
Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. How you doing, everybody? Murph with you from now until 2 o'clock. Lots to do. Oh, my God. Where do we start? Well, we start with Murph, driven to you by Chevy Drives Chicago.com. What a weekend. The last 48 hours, unbelievable. The Bulls win their most exciting game they've ever played at the United Center. Oh, how can you say that? Well, maybe I'm wrong. Do you agree? The Blackhawks, they won their most important game in franchise history ever at the United Center. You could make that argument. See what happened back-to-back within like 24 hours. How about Saturday night? The Blackhawks with the big win over Calgary, 22,000 fans. You could make the argument it was the biggest win the Hawks have ever had at the United Center in franchise history, right? And Bulls fans, was it about 12 hours later? 20 hours later, before you know it, it's noon Sunday. They gotta get the hardwood floor down. They gotta get see. There's more chairs. How come John McDonough hasn't figured this one out? You see, they get 23,000 for the Bulls and 22,000 for the Blackhawks. Why? Because the basketball court is smaller, and they can get more chairs in there, like the boards, the dasher boards. If you go to a Bulls game, there's chairs from the dasher board down to the court. You'd be right there on the left wing, the right wing. Maybe Matt can figure out a way to put, and Jay Blunt, get some chairs down there on the ice, inside the dasher board. Now, that would make for exciting hard hog hockey. And over the weekend, a little baseball peppered in, so we will try to do that for you between now and 2. Let's do this. We're going to go guess free phones at least until 1 o'clock. Zach Zaidman's going to stop in, our Score Bears beat reporter, talk a little NFL draft. I love the draft. I love what they did. Lots of Sox and Cubs. But the story of the day and the weekend is the exciting games at the United Center. First of all, let's go back to Saturday. We got David Schuster. He's like double duty Radcliffe. He's out there Saturday night at the Blackhawk game. David.
One win away from the second round. That's the scenario for the Blackhawks, who defeated Calgary 5-1 last night, now lead 3-2. The Hawks' strategy was simple: jump on the Flames early.
Yeah, I think it was something we wanted to do. I know the team that scores the first goal in the series hasn't necessarily won, but that didn't change the way we thought. We wanted to come out and have a good start and get on them early.
That was Brent Seabrook, who scored the first of 3 Hawk goals during a 2-minute stretch of the opening period.
Jeez.
Patrick Sharp and Chris Versteeg scored the other first period tallies, with Andrew Ladd and Cam Barker lighting the lamp in the final period. Final again, Hawks win 5-1. At the United Center, I'm David Schuster on WSCR, The Score.
Now, if that wasn't enough, David goes home. Maybe he just slept there at the United Center. Maybe he pitched a little cot down there near the walk-in cooler. Noon, Schuster's back. Bulls game, double overtime. Unbelievable. Wrap me up again, David.
The fans certainly got their money's worth Sunday as the Bulls defeated the Celtics 121-118 in double overtime. Heroes aplenty, including Ben Gordon, whose 3-point field goal sent the contest into the second extra session. Gordon getting caught up in the moment afterwards.
This is number one easily. This is the biggest game of the year for us, biggest game of our careers right now. So that was a big win for us, and it was exciting.
And that's an understatement. Gordon had 22 points. Derrick Rose led the way with 23, and John Salmons with some big free throws down the stretch. He finished with 20. So now it's back to Boston with Game 5 on Tuesday night. The series tied at 2 games apiece. At the United Center, David Schuster on WSCR, The Score.
No, don't take a nap, David. Nicely done. All right, think about this. 45,000 fans at the United Center from 8 p.m. Saturday night till game time, tip-off noon on Sunday. What I'm looking for is someone that went to both games. Or, more than that, if in the course of this season you have been to a Blackhawk game and a Bulls game. Here's what I want to do. We'll break it all down. We'll get to the Cubs and Sox in a few minutes. We got the Bears draft coming up with Zach Zaidman. But I want to do this first. I want to ask you, and it would really be preferable if you have been to a Bulls game and a Blackhawks game, if not this year, recently, okay? Now, I've been to both. I've been going to games like you have all our lives. I want to ask you, though, what is the biggest difference between a Bulls fan at a Bulls game and a Blackhawks fan at a Blackhawks game? Now, number one, everyone's wearing red. Number two, everyone's waving red stuff. So that doesn't count. That's the same. I want to hear from Blackhawks fans that have been to a couple of Bulls games. Are you out there? I don't think it's like, Cub fans don't go to Sox games, Sox fans don't go to... There's got to be a big crossover in this town. But I also want to hear from vendors, or if you work in the parking lots. I want to find out if vendors have found, maybe my guy Abe the vendor's listening. If you work Bulls and Blackhawks, I want to hear, Blackhawks fans, man, they drink a lot more. Bulls fans, they eat a lot more. Blackhawks fans, they tip better. Bulls fans, no, they tip better. How about the fans themselves? You get out there. Is there a difference? Or, really, we're all Chicagoans. Why would there be a difference? I got to figure that there were thousands and thousands of you that went to both games. So you'd be the same fan. I got to figure there's thousands of you that went Saturday night to the Blackhawk game, and then you got ready Sunday morning and you went to the Bulls game. You're the same guy. But you're the one I'm looking for that can maybe draw the comparison because you've seen both sets of fans. Real simple. What's the difference between a Blackhawk fan at a Blackhawk game and a Bulls fan at a Bulls game? Or maybe you do both. Are you different? Do you act differently at one game than the other? 644-6767. And I'd like to find out about the eating habits, the spending habits. Like I said, the parking lot guy out there. The Blackhawk fans, when the game's over, they're just crazy. They're just charging out. They're cutting each other off. And the Bulls fans are very well behaved. After the game, maybe they're not. 644-6767. See, Blackhawks fans are known for making more noise. But Elliot Harris, quick hits, my guy in the Sun-Times today. Blackhawks fans, Elliot writes, seem to have raised the level and the ante, the decibel level, and cheering at United Center postseason games. Interestingly, according to Elliot Harris, Bulls fans matched the decibel level on Sunday. Is that true? Didn't have my decibel-ometer out there. The what? 644-6767. Tom's in Libertyville. Hey, Tom.
Hey, how's it going, Murph?
Good, Tom. I've never had a decibel-ometer before or whatever it is. But, hey, have you been to a Bulls game and a Blackhawks game in the last year or two? Both?
Yeah, I went to the second game of the Blackhawks playoff series, and I also went to the Bulls game on Sunday.
Okay, now, as far as loud, I got to figure they're both about the same now, even though, and I was out there Saturday night, it can't be any louder than the national anthem, and when the Bulls got their third goal there in about 2, 3, 4 minutes. What are your thoughts?
Well, for the national anthem, obviously it's louder for the Blackhawks,
sure.
But I would like to say that I think it's more energetic and loud for Blackhawks games. I think the fans are a little bit more rowdy and more into it.
More rowdy and more into it.
Yes.
Now that's interesting. That'll get us rolling. And you base this on your own observation, of course.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you think there's a difference? One sport, the NBA, they get you about 200 points in a 60-minute game, or 65 minutes, or 70 minutes if you go double overtime. In hockey, you play 60 minutes, and maybe there's 3, 4, 5, goals scored. So there's more ebbs and flows in basketball, I would think, or maybe not. What do you think?
I'd have to agree with that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So the crowd maybe can get more jacked up and down at a basketball game because there's those 10-point runs against you, the silencer, and then the 10-point run for you guys. Hey, Tommy, thanks for getting us rolling. I appreciate it. It's Murph Till 2. Driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. 644-6767. How about this? According to Barry Rosner today in the Daily Herald, the United Center crowd Sunday waited only 2 minutes into the game to start chanting Rondo bleeps. Now, did they really yell Rondo bleeps, or was that the Daily Herald? Now, that would be a very well-behaved group. Rondo bleeps. Rondo, you bleep. Oh, you said that was the Daily Herald that edited out on their own? Let's go to Frankfurt. John is on the score. Hello, John.
Hey, how you doing, Murph?
Fine, John. Do you think the fans were yelling Rondo bleeps or something else?
Yeah. I don't want to speculate on the air, but
Right.
I think the big difference is both games, like you go to both games, it seems like the crowd is different. Like, it kind of seems like both games, like they got a band playing, they got like a lot of yuppie kind of people.
Oh, we hate those yuppies, yeah.
Like they're wearing the khakis and the golf shirts. You go to a Hawks game, jerseys, and more jerseys. And the upper deck, those people, they can't afford the $100 seats down below. They up there, and it's just a bunch of beer drinking, blue collar jersey, Hawk loving, screaming, whistling during the anthem. That's the main difference, I think, is just the type of crowd. The Bulls fans, it's almost like you're at not really a dinner party, but at kind of like some sort of party where there's like a band going on and stuff like that. I just think the atmosphere, it's just like completely different.
Oh, those damn yuppies. Hey, let me ask you, you talk about whistling. Now, this has been going on for 30 years at the Blackhawks games, even at the old barn, across the street. There's one guy will whistle like 3 times. Then on the other side, a guy will respond with the whistles. You've noticed that over the years, right?
Oh, yeah. I just think, you know what it is? I think they're giving little subtlety to players because I noticed that only goes on during a boring part of the game.
Okay.
So I think they're kind of little subtleties towards the guys like, hey, let's make something happen here. I'm bored. I'm about to leave.
I like it. Hey, John, the 300 level for the Blackhawks and the Bulls fans, you're saying those are different guys on the 300 level for the Bulls, though?
Yeah, kind of. It's more kids in the upper level during Bulls games.
Oh, those damn kids, those damn yuppies. John, I love you from Frankfurt. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
John wants everyone at the Blackhawk game being just like him. And well, you know what? It's a little harder to wear a Bulls uniform. It's easy to wear the sweater, the Hawk sweater. But, you got the tank top thing. It looks a little weird if you put it over. So maybe the Bulls fans, well, we'll find out. Oh, the sweaters. I can hear this coming up. Oh, they wear the sweaters down low. 644-6767, it's Murph. Got to catch up on a few things. Vuk is on your side. My guy's Jeff Vukovich, Murph's nationwide insurance agent of the year. I've been talking about Vuk for years for all your insurance needs. A family guy right there in Park Ridge, 30 years. Stability, Vuk is your guy. Back in a flash. Sports Radio 670. It's Murph, the score. Welcome back. Murph on the score. Till 2. Phone lines are jumping. We'll break down Hawks, Bulls, little Cubs and Sox talk. Quite a bit happened over the weekend. We're going to have Zach Zaidman around 1 o'clock. Our Bears beat reporter. Hey, we know it's a jungle out there. Let Illinois paper and copier reduce your monthly copier costs. With Rico and Konica Minolta copiers and supplies, call Matt today, 630-679-9090. Got a text off the air right there. U.S. Cellular powers our text system here. And Kenny Owens, LaGrange Park, says, Murph, you had a caller a few minutes ago, Blackhawk fan, said the Bulls fans are yuppies in khaki pants. He said, sounds to me like that was a Sox fan. Drawing a parallel, if we can, from his call that, this is interesting, that Bulls fans are Cubs fans and Blackhawks fans are White Sox fans. If he's a Blackhawk fan talking about the yuppies at the Bulls game. Doesn't sound like a White Sox fan. Well, one thing's interesting. The Blackhawks had, 3,000 fans at every game for like the last 20 years, and they'd announce 8,000. Well, Sox fans won't go when things aren't going well. Bulls fans filled up the joint. They had about 2 million consecutive sellouts, the Bulls. Since Jordan, they've sold out every game. maybe there's a comparison. Are Cubs fans more likely to be Bulls fans, Sox fans, Blackhawks fans? 45,000 fans paid into Blackhawks and Bulls within a 24-hour period. 22,000 Blackhawks fans Saturday night. The joint was jumping. The house was rocking. Same thing. 23,000. They put more seats down there. It's a smaller court. We talked about that earlier. All John McDonough and Jay Blunt got to figure out his way to put the chairs inside the dasher boards. Get a few. 45,000 fans inside a 24-hour period. Blowing the roof off the United Center. What a sports gasm we are in right now. Oh, Cub fans, let me ask you this real quick. We know that Micah Hoffpower is not the next Lou Gehrig, but is Derek Lee the next Wally Pipp? Huh?
Oh, that's not funny.
Murph, who's this Wally Pipp you're talking about? Wikipedia. Let's go to Daniel from Brookfield. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Murph, I wanted to compare the point when fans get into it at the Bulls and the Hawks games.
Yeah.
The Hawks games, the fans are into it right away, right off the national anthem. And at the Bulls games, they usually tend to wait till the fourth quarter to get jumping, unless there's a huge point spread.
Well, let me, Daniel, I will not disagree with you, out of hand, but could it be that that's more NHL, NBA, due to the fact that and you're right, but maybe in the NHL you know that it could be a 1-0 game. You know it could be 3-2 in hockey. You also know in NBA that there's going to be 17 lead changes, and it's going to be 100-100 with 2 minutes to go at the end of the game anyway.
True.
So maybe one sport is just more inherently, from the beginning. One slip up, we're down 1-0, the game could end 1-0.
All right, Murph, thanks. Go Cubs.
Thank you, Daniel. 644-6767. It's David Schuster, like probably just conked out. Was he on earlier today on any of the shows? He's sleeping in today. How about the guy? He's out there. He's covering both games over the weekend, and then we try to badger the poor guy. Richard is in Skokie next. Hey, Richard.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hey.
Beyond Duke college basketball, the student body there, you're not going to find any end-to-end rowdies at a basketball game. It just doesn't lend itself to that. I mean, you just said it right there. It's hockey. To have such low scoring, it's a series of violent near misses throughout the entire game, and those violent near misses are, every 20 to 30 seconds. I don't know. I mean, it's just more conducive. It's not a statement of the quality of fan. I mean, anyone would be foolish to think that you go to one of these games and you get a cross-section of Chicago. That's just not accurate. It's no fair. It's no less accurate to say you go to Wrigley and that's an accurate portrayal of a Chicagoan. We know that's not true. So it's just the nature of the game which lends itself to that style of support. I have nothing against Bulls fans sitting on their hands for 3 quarters. Let's face it, you can't get up and ramp it up like that throughout an entire game.
So you raise an interesting point. The controlled violence, if I may use that word, in hockey, and sometimes it breaks out into a little fisticuffs, which I feel, it has to, because you got these guys banging into each other. It's like inside a rubber band. It expands, and eventually something's going to pop. So the fans, naturally, in hockey, are a little more rowdied up right from the beginning because the hitting is going on, unlike basketball, which is very violent in its own way. Look at Gordon taking this body slam down. He's laying there. There's a lot of violence in the NBA, but not the fighting. Usually.
I'd agree with that assessment. I'd agree with that assessment wholeheartely. You can't get up for the beauty and poetry and motion of the NBA is unrenowned. It's just unparalleled, and yet you can't just go nuts over 50 made buckets like that. If you were, you'd have a coronary. You'd be in the ER. Hockey, whereas you can get up and down collectively as a unit. Your crowd control like that, I think, throughout the game without causing any serious physical damage to yourself.
Hey, do you want to see the Hawks Game 7 back here, or let's just wrap it up tonight? I don't think my ticker can take 7 with the Hawks, but it will be fun. But let's just wrap it up tonight, right?
I don't think no. I think home team wins out in this series.
Right.
So I think we're coming back for Game 7, and you're going to see quite an electric crowd. What would be Thursday night?
You got it.
All right, my friend.
You got it. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it very much. Now, wait a minute. Are the Blackhawks When is that, fellas? You got the schedule there? Is that Wednesday? Let's see. Hawks? Yeah, Wednesday. Hawks tonight, then Wednesday. Bulls Tuesday and Thursday. Everyone on the whole will get right back to you. The difference, or the comparisons between Bulls and Blackhawks fans, 45,000 out there within a 24-hour period. But I'm still waiting to hear from a vendor. I want to find out, do Hawks fans or Bulls fans buy more beer, buy more food? Who eats more? Who drinks more out there? And who tips better? Where's Abe the vendor, my guy? 644-6767. It's Murph. Back in a flash. Hey, by the way, thetowngroup.com for the big air conditioning, piping, chiller jobs. North Town, West Town, Southwest Town, and Northwest Town. Those are my guys. They do it right. The white trucks, the red stripes, the big jobs, plant managers, facility operations managers, thetowngroup.com. Hey, hang on a minute there, Whip. Yeah. So, watching the Cub game, the Sox game, and you got the Bulls game on, and so I didn't really catch any of a Talladega, as they call it. Of course, I wouldn't have anyway. Right. But did you see, that car that was spinning around about 20 feet up in the air almost landed. How it went airborne, it's amazing. They have the spoiler flaps, supposed to keep them down, right? That car was easily 10 to 15 feet in the air. And it looked like the restraining wall, which is more like a chain link fence. Right. It must be a hell of a good chain link fence.
It's a true link fence, I believe.
Oh, over the fence. Yeah. A true link had to be about, 3 or 4 feet from clearing that, and it would have probably squashed about 200 fans in the stands dead. Mm-hmm. Only 7 were injured.
But there was kind of almost like a miracle, Murph, that not more people were injured in this thing.
Shrapnel and, carburetor. Yeah. Do they still have carburetor?
I'm sure they do. Why not?
Flying,
and none of the injuries life-threatening either. It's amazing.
It is. I went back on replay, back and forth, on the DVR, back and forth, just to watch that car, Remember the Beach Boys? If she had a set of wings, man, I know she could fly. My little Ed Lynch. My little Deuce Coupe.
Little Deuce Coupe, yeah. Sure.
Well, what's interesting, if they show that again, watch the spectators, where the car is, coming towards them to kill them, and there's metal flying into the stands everywhere. Not one person covered their head, turned away, went down into, fetal position, tried to... They were just, look at it, this is cool, man. Everything's flying right
at them.
They
were excited.
They loved it.
Well, here's the thing,
Wouldn't
Murph.
you, sort of curl up in a ball and hope you don't get killed?
Well, again, just like you wouldn't have been watching the race anyway, I wouldn't probably be in the first several rows at Talladega, or even the last several rows.
Dega, they call it.
I'm sorry. I'm guessing, though, maybe they had a few beverages. Maybe there were a bunch of drunks sitting there.
So, in other words...
a little reaction time's a little slow, and just like everybody else, all you're really watching the race for is the wreck.
So you wouldn't be sitting there if you were going to curl up in a ball when the debris started flying at you. You want to be there and get hit by it to show I got hit by a carburetor.
Maybe you get yourself a scar. Maybe you get a tooth knocked out. You get to brag to all your friends.
Maybe, yes. That's why you and I, not only wouldn't we be in the front row, and we wouldn't be in the last row, we wouldn't be there.
I just wait for the news to show me the one highlight of the race, which is not the guy winning, but the car wrecking.
The highlight here, every 30 minutes. Thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Let's go back to the phones. Hey, I want to open up some baseball talk also. We're talking Bulls, Blackhawks, 45,000 fans at the United Center Saturday night and then Sunday again at noon, back-to-back. Are there differences in our sports town between Bulls fans, Blackhawks fans? And I'm looking for, we have, the vendors are so tired they're counting their tip money right now. I want to hear from someone that works United Center. Does one fandom more than the other drink more, eat more, tip better? Let's bring in Joe from the west side of Chicago. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Murph.
Hey, Joe, it's unscientific. I'm waiting for a vendor. What would you guess? You think that Bulls fans, Blackhawks fans both drink about the same amount of 7-Ups and beer and eat about the same amount and both tip about... we're all Chicagoans. It's probably all about the same, don't you guess?
Yeah, I think most people are there to have a good time. They know they're going to be chucking out $6 or $7 for a beer.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go and have 2 or 3 beers, maybe a hot dog, or 4 to 6 beers, you're going to be dropping $50 to $100. Easy.
You think both fans are just as knowledgeable? In other words, you think a guy goes to a Bulls game, he knows just as much about the nuances, the X's and O's, the rules, as a Blackhawks fan at a hockey game. They're about the same, don't you guess?
Well, what I was going to say is that I'm going to throw the White Sox in there too.
Oh boy, don't get something started I don't want to get in the middle of.
I'm going to say, you got the black trash, the white trash, and the brown trash, and you get all three of them in the upper deck. The Blackhawks get the white trash, the Bulls get the black trash, and the White Sox get the brown trash.
Well, there's trash everywhere. I'm not sure I follow it, but there must be a line of reasoning there somewhere. Thank you, Joe. Let's go to Rolling Meadows, John. Hello, Johnson.
Hey, Murph, how are you?
All right.
I was at the game Saturday night, and it brought back the days of the Chicago Stadium. I mean, where you couldn't even talk to the guy next to you during the game. It was just so loud. I mean, I am so happy. I am thrilled that hockey is finally back in Chicago, and you're packing the United Center for the Blackhawks, and, you want to get back into this. You know what? I went to see a fight in a hockey game.
Oh, yeah. That old joke, sure.
It's an awesome feeling knowing that, even if they were to lose this series, I don't think they will. But even if they did, this is a very successful season for a young team. And, I think they're a player or two away from being the ultimate team in our division. Look out, Detroit. Look out, Detroit. The Blackhawks are coming to take the division away from you, buddy. It's going to happen.
John, Saturday night was just, it was so exciting, and the 3 quick goals, you were there. I happened to be out there also.
Yeah.
And at one point, I got mad for a minute, at Bill Wirtz, passed on. And I was thinking about how, someone, I don't know, stole 20, 25 years from Blackhawks fans and Chicago. And I don't care if it's a bandwagon jumper or a hardcore guy maybe that was back at the old joint across the street. But all those years where we had 3,000 fans because there was nothing happening.
Well, you know what it was? Because Wirtz, his dad was more concerned about the beer, the selling of the liquor.
Well, I know, John, I know all that. I know, I'm from Chicago. I know that. The point is, for a minute I got mad. How come we didn't have this for the last 20 years? But then I slapped myself. You know what? Be happy. At least we have something. It still could be the old deal going on.
Hey, Murph, the Blackhawks are back. Hockey is back. Chicago is going to go nuts, baby.
Hey, John, what if the Bulls... Where's my what-if bell? What if by a miracle the Bulls win this series? Then who do they meet? They might get Philadelphia. It depends how this whole thing shakes out. Let's say... I don't know if could we take it if this goes 2-3 more rounds plus the Cubs and the Sox? I don't know how we can...
Hey, you know what? I love what the Bulls are doing right now, and I think this kid Rose is the real deal, baby. He's the real. He's going to take him to the next level.
Well, Jonathan Tate. See, here's what's interesting. Both of these clubs, both the Hawks and the Bulls, John, in Rolling Meadows, they are basically, with a few trades, a few free agents, but basically they're homegrown. You look at the Bulls starting, other than Salmons, love them or not. You got Tyrus Thomas, you got Noah, you got Gordon, and you got Rose, like you point out, and Heinrich. These are all drafted guys, quote-unquote homegrown. You look at the Blackhawks, from Taser and Kane and right up and down.
What?
Sharp.
You just brought up a good point there. With Taze and Kane, you've got 2 50-goal scorers in the future playing for you right now.
But they're homegrown. They're not free agent now. Havlet's terrific this year.
Sign him for long-term deals and keep him here, baby.
But 9 out of 10 of the Blackhawks are homegrown kids. Versteeg right up and down, and the Bulls also. That's one of the things that makes them so much fun to embrace. John, good to talk with you. Thank you, buddy.
Have a great day, Murph.
Appreciate it very much. By the way, Thursday is, let me get my little notes right here. Thursday is Planter's Big Nut Bar invitation to you to join the score. We're going to crown the 2009 Chicago's biggest sports nut at Shoeless Joe's Ale House, Rosemont, from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. That's this Thursday. We'll be broadcasting live all day, starting off with Hampton Holmes, then little old Murph. Then we will announce the winner during the Boers and Bernstein show. Someone will be walking away a winner of a trip for 2 from Apple Vacation. Now, here, check this out. The first 100 people, that could be you, just to show up, will receive a $10 gift certificate to use at Shoeless Joe's, but that'll get you going. First come, first serve, 1 gift certificate per person. Thursday, Shoeless Joe's in Rosemont. I believe that is Higgins off Manheim Road. Let's go to Joe from Ohio, he says. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Murph, thanks for taking my call.
Hey, what's happening in Ohio?
Hey, I'm driving home from the game Saturday night. I had to take my daughter back to college.
So you were out there Saturday night, and I was there also. It was one of the great games. Your daughter, was she with you, did you say, or no?
Oh, yeah. I promised her if my guy came through, I'd come and pick her up in New York, drive her back on Friday. We came home Saturday morning, took a nap, went to the game.
Yeah.
And I had to take her and my son back out to New York. I'm on my way back now.
Well, it was a terrific... Hey, so I like the phrase. You told her if your guy comes... It sounds like your guy came through.
Oh, yeah. Four tickets. My voice is still hoarse.
Oh, man. It was great. It started, as always, with the national anthem. How about the 3 goals in about 3-4 minutes? The place went nuts.
Oh, Murph, that was great. My son, he flew in from New York City. He got there right after that, so he missed that. But it was beautiful. We had a great family time. Most excitement I've had since the first game of the White Sox playoff in 2005.
Well, be sure you give your guy a nice little Christmas present so he keeps you on his list, okay?
Hey, I'm going to order more stuff from him. He's a vendor.
Good idea. Thank you very much. Joe, driving back. He's somewhere out near Toledo. Tell you what, we'll catch up on a few things here. When we return, want to ask Cub fans and Sox fans, and we'll get back to some Bulls and Blackhawks talk also. But Cub fans, how about Lou Piniella? There it is, Friday night, Friday afternoon, and I hear the lineup. The batting order's been changed. After all the talk all winter, all exhibition season, the first 2 or 3 weeks. No. Soriano's my leadoff man. What does he do? After a couple losses, a couple bad games to Dusty Baker, to the Bakers, he says, we're playing the Tonys. Tony La Russa switches it up. Soriano goes 1 for 8. They lose 2 games. And Lou goes, that's it. That experiment's over. And Sox fans, Gordon Beckham back in the news today. Why? Because of the Chris Getz injury. He has not been DL'd as of this moment. Maybe they'll have Knicks ready to bring him back up. But Ozzie says today, he says Beckham should play a full season in the minors. You got Gordon Beckham hitting about 290 down there. But Ozzie says, we're not panicking. We're not making a move. No Gordon Beckham this year. He says, if we do bring him up this year, that means we are in trouble. And not saying half power is Lou Gehrig, but is Derek Lee soon going to be Wally Pipp? Who's he? I told you, Wikipedia it up. Google up Wally Pipp. Sports Radio 670, Murph, back in a flash. I'm driven to you by Chevy, DriveChicago.com. Zach Zaden with a little Bears talk also coming up. Plenty of Bulls and Blackhawks conversation. Let's talk a little baseball. Murph with it till 2. Zach Zaidman in a few minutes to take a look at the Bears draft. By the way, why don't you do this? Give me a grade on via text. 67011. Real quick. Punch in your letter of grade, A, B, C, D, or F. No minuses, no pluses. Just go for it. Give me a grade on the draft. Jerry Angelo, A, B, C, D, or F at 67011. Little baseball talk. Let's see. White Sox 3-game series here with Seattle beginning tonight on the score. Cubs in Arizona. And the Cub game starts just about 8:30, 8:40, right about when the Blackhawks puck drop in Calgary. So busy night. It'll be Johnny Danks in game 1 for the Sox. Bartolo Colon game 2. Gavin Floyd game 3. Johnny Danks saw this note in Scott Gregor's Daily Herald today. Notebook, Danks has allowed, listen to this, just 2 runs in 19 innings this season. ERA 0.95, second best in the American League. And the Cubs at the D-backs, it'll be Ted Lilly tonight. Carlos Zambrano, game 2. Ryan Dempster, game 3. And how about the performance turned in by Rich Harden? Listen to this. The Cubs, though they haven't been playing well, they have 6 consecutive quality starts. Oh, that quality start stat is, you can stick it. Well, stick it if you wish. The point is, if a starter gives you 6 innings and 3 earned runs or less, that's what you're looking for. 6 straight counting Harden 6 ago, and then yesterday the whole rotation, quality start, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. The other thing, Cub fans, the Cubs have played 6 games with the Cardinals. 3 at Wrigley Field a week ago. They rained out Game 4 on Sunday. The Cubs took that series 2 out of 3. They lost the series in St. Louis 2 out of 3. So they're dead even. They're 3-3 with the Redbirds. By the way, I'd be starting Coy Hill until he cools off. That's just me. If I'm Lou Piniella, I would say, you know what, Mr. Soto, just relax. I'll get you back in. As soon as Coy Hill takes an offer, as soon as he gets the collar, I'll put you back in there. I'd be playing Coy Hill every day. At least shows me he's not going to get at least 1 hit a day. Jim's in Evergreen Park next. Hello, Jim.
Murph, how are you?
Hey, okay, James.
Hey, I don't know if Derek Lee is going to be Wally Pipp, but I think it's great. I mean, it's not bad that he's hurt, obviously, for him, but the fact that it forces Lou to play Hoffbauer at a position where he knows he can at least play at, average to above average, and he can get his bat in the lineup. Because I think, and it was the same thing with the Soriano switch in the lineup. Yeah. I don't know why Lou has to do everything so, cut and dry. It can't be one way or the other where he can work with it. It's like Soriano goes in the third spot, it doesn't work a couple games, forget about it. Hoffbauer goes in right field, he makes a couple errors. We're never playing him in right field again. He could have avoided that if he would have just put him at first base and gave Derek Lee some time off, just like you're saying with Soto. Let Coy Hill bat a little bit. And, he hasn't played except for the last couple games in a month.
Hey, listen to this. Coy Hill has 3 go-ahead RBIs. Remember they used to call them game-winning RBIs? He's only started 5 games. They're 4-1 when he starts, and before Sunday they were 4-7 with Soto. 3 of his 5 starts, Coy Hill he's got the go-ahead RBI. He is currently, Jim, on a 5-game hitting streak. He's hitting .318, 8 for 22. I'm not saying he would beat out Soto. I'm saying play him every day until he takes the collar and then put Soto back in. What's the big deal?
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal at all. I think, and again, maybe you get Soto a chance. I know they want to have him get a chance to work his way out of it, but maybe a couple of days on the bench will be better for him.
And Hoffbauer right now hitting .360. We know he's not Lou Gehrig, but Derek Lee, would he be Wally Pipp? For all you youngsters out there, go Google up Wally Pipp. Jim, thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks, Murph. Talk to you.
Appreciate it. Hey, look at Joe from Stickney's out. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Murph, how are you?
Always good to hear from you. I got about 1 minute before my update. What do you got, Joseph?
Murph, I got to say, leave Soriano in the leadoff position unless they got Eddie Yost sitting on the bench.
Oh, now the young fans got to Google up Wally Pipp and Eddie Yost.
Eddie Yost will walk 150, 160 times a year.
Well, you know what's interesting? I'm glad you're on the phone, Joe. This was sort of a buried thing by Paul Sullivan. Talking of this was in the paper after Lou on Friday finally made the lineup change when he moved Soriano down to number 3, correct?
Correct.
Here's the Saturday Morning Tribune. Buried in the story, Paul Sullivan writes, before the game, Lou Piniella had hitting coach Gerald Perry tell Soriano that he was moving him down to number 3. He didn't tell him himself, evidently. He didn't post the lineup card and just let him walk up and see it. He sent Gerald Perry to tell. Do you find that a little odd? I do.
No, because Lou likes to stay away from controversy with the players.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Joe, great to hear from you, my friend.
One thing about Hoffbauer.
Yeah.
I'd platoon him with Lee until Hoffbauer can't hit no more, until Lee catches up with him, because that kick can hit.
Hey, Lou can't even walk up and tell Soriano he's moving him from 1 to 3. Who'd be the guy that's going to tell Lee he's not playing? You?
Or I could tell him.
You or I'll tell him. I love it. Thanks, Joe.
Okay,
Sports Radio 670. Let's get a little Bears talk next, Zach Zabin, then we'll get back to Bulls and Blackhawks, Cubs and Sox. Great time to be a sports fan in Chicago. It's Murph, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Zach Zabin, score hot phone ringing. Let's talk a little Bears with the Bears beat reporter. Hey, Zach.
I was enjoying the bulging disc conversation.
No, you were
Wally Pipp stuff.
You were falling asleep. You can't fool me. Fans say out of Zach Zabin this hour. The score brought to you by Menards. Well, Zach, I asked the fans a little while ago, text in a, letter grade real quick, just get the ball rolling for Jerry Angelo's draft, an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. Then it dawned on me, it's sort of unfair, or difficult is a better word, to try to grade this out with Jay Cutler and the first round being gone. how would we set up the question in the first place? You're a radio guy. It's sort of hard to grade this draft because of everything that's been involved a few weeks ago.
Yeah, excellent point. I think the best way to do it is it's a two-pronged kind of thing. I think the only way you can truly grade a draft the day after the draft is to ask, did the team play the draft game the right way? Did they get what appears to be value at the picks that they had? And I think if you go by that, the Bears did very well yesterday, and they also acquired a franchise Pro Bowl quarterback. And that's part of this draft. You can't ignore it. And to me, that's the biggest factor. No matter what happened over the weekend, the biggest thing is the Bears fixed the quarterback position, and you know this better than most, Murph. Since Jerry Angelo took over, we know that he knows how to establish a running game. He's done so twice with Thomas Jones and then now with Matt Forte. He's built up an offensive line at different times, whether it was with the acquisitions of John Tate and Fred Miller, and now with the veterans Pace and moving Chris Williams over to the right side, adding Schaefer to the mix and Omiel as well. But what we don't know is, could the Bears have fixed the quarterback position via the draft? Because that's something that they've never shown that they know how to do. Now they have that, and not only do they acquire a Pro Bowl guy, but a guy who's young, who's going to be here for a while, and who was trained by one of those, and I'm using air quotes here, one of those offensive geniuses in Mike Shanahan. They're in pretty good shape from that standpoint.
Zach Zabian with Murph for a couple of minutes. Hey, if you want to jump in, 644-6767, you are welcome to eavesdrop. And this hour brought to us by, did I mention it? Well, I'll do it again. Menards, real quick, you mentioned the running backs. Now, just for little old Murph and a lot of us out there, do we still have all four? I know we got Forte, or we still have Kevin Jones. Let me get Adrian Peterson, our AP, not there, and Garrett Wolf. We still have all four of those guys?
Yes, all four of those guys. I don't believe that the Bears will carry all four into the regular season this year as they did a year ago. So Adrian Peterson, I would guess, is probably in a tough spot right now, especially with the new additions that the Bears acquired yesterday. And the reason I say that is the Bears dramatically improved team speed and athleticism. If you look at some of the things that you can point to from yesterday's draft, and that will be a direct benefit to special
teams. Zach, I have all my Our Lads notes clipped here on a little yellow pad from all the different guys. To generalize is a very interesting draft by what Jerry Angelo did. And like you say, he filled in with a lot of athletes, and we know that's also Lovie Smith's MO, not that it's just the Bears. I mean, every team wants athletes and guys that can run. But there's a couple projects here. Here's just off the top of my head and looking sort of between the lines with Our Lads. It looks like Jerron Gilbert, I'm going to call it, and then you can comment, more of a project. Then they get, I believe they got a real value pick there with Iglesias, who fell to 99. So they sort of balanced maybe a project with the first pick, Jerron Gilbert. Then they got more than they thought they would probably get at 99 with Joaquin Iglesias. But then back down to Henry Melton, the defensive end, I guess, is what he's going to be, a project. And then the other guys are all athletes that can run and fill in here and there. It was a very, very well orchestrated, whether it fell into their lap or not, doesn't matter. They pulled off, I think, a very nice draft.
They did pull off a nice draft in terms of getting guys that you would think provide value for where they were picking. You know, you didn't mention DJ Moore, the corner out of Vanderbilt, a guy who has outstanding leaping ability. You know, you look at his measurables, and that's usually what most people go on. He's not a tall cornerback, but the way he plays big. At least that was his MO in the SEC, the best conference in the country. Now, I will take issue a little bit about what you said about Jerron Gilbert, because I don't believe the Bears view him as a project. I think the Bears believe that he can be a player that plays a lot for this team in a variety of different positions. He will start out at the three technique, backing up Tommy Harris. He also has the ability to rush the passer from the end, and he is a freakish athlete. And when I say that, I'm sure you saw. You know, you're the YouTube. You're a YouTube guy, right?
I always look for you every night. Google and Zach Zabian in my YouTube, whatever.
And you know what? I'm touched and honored and getting kind of emotional listening to you say that. But in all seriousness, if you haven't seen it, check it out.
It's amazing.
They know. Log on to YouTube and put Jerron Gilbert's name in there, and you will literally see him jump out of the pool onto land, and there's water in the pool. It really is an amazing feat. feet. But that's not the only amazing thing about him. You know, I was talking, and you might have heard Jeff Joniak say this, the voice of the Bears on TV last night, but this guy's athleticism is so amazing that if he stands in the middle of a doorpost, he can touch with one hand the top of the doorpost and with the other hand put it on the floor. That's how long his wingspan is. It's amazing.
The guys at our lads, Jerron Gilbert, explosive first step. But here's what they say. Besides the great athletic ability, football intelligence, plays and reads well, may have an offensive mentality. What does that mean in a scouting report when they're talking about a defensive end may have an offensive mentality? That doesn't sound like a plus to me.
All you need to know, and the best way I can describe this is, I was looking for a way to take these players and give them an image in your head where you can understand what they're like. When the draft started yesterday, it was day 2, remember? You don't really think a lot about day 2. Right. Mel Kiper Jr., you know him as the big draft analyst, well-regarded. He said the best player available at the start of the draft was Jerron Gilbert.
Wow.
That's all you need to know. So, if you trust Mel Kiper, if you're a Mel Kiper Jr. kind of guy, the Bears got the best player available when day 2 of the draft started.
Now, the wide receiver is actually a slot receiver, according to some reports. Joaquin Iglesias, is he going to be more of the nickel slot receiver type guy, do you think?
He's a guy that I think in a best case scenario, both you get Iglesias, you get Earl Bennett as the man opposite of Devin Hester, right? The short yardage stuff. Imagine using a guy like Johnny Knox in the slot. That's the guy from Abilene Christian who's got the lights out speed. I think what it does is it gives them some competition at the receiver position. They didn't get the kind of big name that I think everybody wanted, although they did try to get Anquan Bolden into the mix during the first day of the draft, and I don't think the Cardinals were very serious about trading him, but the Bears did make the call, and they did try to go after him. And could you imagine if the Bears had acquired a Pro Bowl receiver and a Pro Bowl quarterback both in one offseason? It would have been amazing.
There's Johnny Knox. He's almost like a Devin Hester type guy, and I hate to say that, but the more you read about him, he's got he has fast plus speed. He's projected actually to be maybe a 7th round pick by our lads. He comes in the first. But here's a guy that could almost do the type of things Hester does. I like the sleeper, Marcus Friedman, the linebacker. He's a future starter. They said he's the fastest linebacker. Our lads said fastest linebacker at the combine. He could go Sam or Mike, strong or weak. Let's slide a call or two in real quick. Zach Zabin, nice enough to pick up the phone. Check in. Gary and Streamwood on the score. Hey, Gary.
Hi, guys.
Hey, what you got?
Well, I like everything the Bears have done in the offseason. There's no question about that. My one question is, are they going to still go after a backup quarterback? Because they have 2 quarterbacks who have never thrown a pass. Are they going to take one of them? Are they going to wait till one of these teams with 5 quarterbacks drops one? Or what do you think they're going to do in that area?
Gary, great question. You got to remember, though, that those veteran backup quarterbacks that we used to talk about in the past, they don't want to come here anymore. Not with Jay Cutler's history. The guy's shown durability. You know he's a Pro Bowl quarterback, and you know he's the answer here for a long time. So chances are, if you're a veteran backup, this is not a good situation for you anymore. And I can't imagine the last time we've ever said something like that. The other thing that you look at is they are very high on Caleb Haney. Go by the eye test. Now, all the Bears have to go on is obviously what he did in his college career and what he did during the preseason. He did nothing wrong during the preseason. In fact, he was impressive, so much so that the Bears, who weren't planning to keep 3 quarterbacks last year on the roster, kept Haney on the roster. That tells you they feel very comfortable with him if he has to come in a pinch.
All right, Gary.
Okay, thank you.
All right, buddy. Final caller. We'll get John out in Norwich there on the northwest side. Hello, John.
Hey, Murph, Double Z. Zach, I don't wholly agree or totally agree with you on a comment that you made earlier in the segment, and I guess that's what makes sports radio good. You said that Jerry Angelo has proven that he can build a running game. I don't totally agree with that. He had Thomas Jones, let him go for Cedric Benson. Now he has Matt Forte, but he doesn't really have a proven backup. Forte goes down. You got Adrian Peterson, Kevin Jones, who I think he had 39 carries last year, and Garrett Wolfe, who can't handle the load. But I think in this league, you almost need a durable backup as well as a good starter.
I think that I agree with you, except they do have a veteran backup who has had success in the league in Kevin Jones.
He didn't play last year.
The reason he didn't play last year is because, quite frankly, he was recovering from some serious surgery, and he wasn't 100% ready to go. If you heard Kevin Jones on the Score on Saturday, he talked about this, but he is in excellent shape right now and ready to go. And let me tell you, if you remember what he used to do with the Lions, this guy's a player, and Ron Turner has talked publicly about this. They don't want to overuse Forte. There's a temptation to do so because he is such a durable back and a guy that you can use in a variety of different positions. But the Bears do have depth at the running back position. You're going to see a lot more of Kevin Jones this year. And to me, we haven't talked about this enough, guys. Look at how much bigger the Bears offensive line got over the offseason with the addition of Pace and the addition of Omiel and the addition of Williams and Schaefer if he should work his way into the mix. The reason I bring that up is how many times a year ago did we watch this team fail to convert first downs in short yardage situations? I don't believe that's going to be a problem this year, in part because the Bears got bigger. The Bears went out and revamped this offensive line with the thinking that you have to go up against those Williams guys, those big defensive tackles that Minnesota has. The fact that a Jared Allen owned John St. Clair last season. The Bears went out and said, to win the division, you have to be better than Minnesota. To do it, you have to get bigger up front, and they did.
Hey, Nerds, John, does that answer your question? And even more so, right?
And even more so. I just hope he's right on Kevin Jones. I was led to believe that he was good last year, so hopefully he's right.
Hey, John, always a pleasure. Thank you, buddy. As John said, that's the beauty of Sports Talk Radio, Zach.
Yeah, and I understand. Look, a year ago, I wanted to see the Bears use Kevin Jones a little bit more last year, too, because I thought it led to some of the problems that you saw with Forte at the end of the year. Remember, he had a little bit of a toe issue last season near the end of the year, and I think it affected the Bears, especially when the passing game went downhill, when Orton hurt his ankle, and for whatever reason they couldn't connect on the deep ball. You don't have to worry about this year. And one of the big things that you get excited about when you start to see the speed that they've now added at receiver with Knox and obviously, you know, what Devin Hester can do, and adding an experienced college player in Joaquin Iglesias and another year under the system for Earl Bennett, is the fact that you have a quarterback that can throw the deep ball. I mean, and one of the most important things, one of the reasons that Jay Cutler is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL is you look at his completion percentage, light years ahead of what the Bears have had around here, at least since Lovie Smith took over, and you can go way back for a while there in how much better he is with those completion percentage numbers. But completion percentage, Murph, means that you are accurate, and it means that you're hitting guys in stride, and that allows you to get yards after the catch. And when you get yards after the catch, you're moving the ball down the field, and that eventually leads to touchdowns. And those are the big statistics that obviously get you into the playoffs and get you to Super Bowls. That's why it's important to get that speed, so when the quarterback hits you on time, you can then utilize your speed to take advantage of the fact that you got the ball in your hands and you can make a big play. And when you consider that a year ago, Murph, the Bears were number 2 in the National Football League in takeaways, but they were number 26 in offense, and they only averaged 23 points per game. You have to take those takeaways and turn them into touchdowns. I believe with Cutler, you have a much better opportunity to do that, but there are a lot of things that have to fall into place.
Hey, Zach, great job. We see some future starters right here. We'll visit with you again. My sleeper, Marcus Freeman, I believe is a future starter.
But not this year.
No. Future starter. He's going to be super on special teams. He can play strong side, weak side linebacker. But here, he can pass rush from the outside linebacker, and he's a solid tackling skill. And also man-to-man coverage, all this from our lads.
Yeah, Bears envision him as a will linebacker, which is the position that Lance Briggs plays.
You got
The other thing you have to look at, though, is the one thing they didn't get in this draft is a free safety, a pure free safety. So right now you have kind of a mishmash of talent out there, and I don't know if the Bears have a true guy that they feel comfortable with playing that position.
But they got the strong safety and Al Afalava, the scissors, paper, rock guy. Zach, I hear our music. That means we're running a little late. Thanks a million, buddy.
Adios, my friend.
All right, Zach Zaidman. It's Murph. Back in a flash. He'll get back to some Bulls, Blackhawks, and baseball. But first, you gotta see Jack.com. Jack Phelan Chevrolet. My guys, home of the GM Total Confidence Package. 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. The OnStar vehicle value protection, payment protection. Check it all out at Jack Phelan Chevrolet. You gotta see Jack.com. It's Murph till 2. Love my emailers. Going to get back to some Bulls. Blackhawks talk plenty of baseball. Kevin from Bartlett. He says, Murph, the Cubs are very lucky. Let me read this. Kevin from Bartlett says, Fukudome is hot, and this has helped them through a rough time. Ramirez, Bradley injured. You know what? Fukudome is very interesting. If you compare his numbers from this exact time last year, after the same amount of games, 17 games, check this out. Fukudome last April, after 17 games, 63 at-bats. Right now, 62 at-bats. Last year, 20 hits, 23 hits now. That Jackson's average from 317 1 year ago to 371. On base up to 481 from 442. But here's what's interesting. Fukudome has 4 home runs this year and 15 ribbies in the same amount of games last year when he was off to that terrific start. Remember, he homered opening day? Not 4 homers, but just 1. Not 15 ribbies, but 9. And in the notebooks today, you'll find a very amazing stat that Fukudome hit his first ever Major League homer versus a left-handed pitcher in the 8th inning yesterday at St. Louis. The 3-run home run was his first ever against a lefty, a guy named Miller, whoever the hell he was, gave that one up. It's Murph back in a flash. Catch up on a few things. Sports Radio 670, The Score. One play in that Bulls game we're going to break down, and it was at the end of the first half. Hey, turns out the Bears' 6th-round pick by the very fun-to-say name Al Afalava, the strong safety out of Oregon State. Someone noticed in his bio that he won the, you might call it rock, scissors, paper, rock. He won the whole tournament one year, and then he said, but the next year I was out in the first round. It's all luck, he said.
Well, yeah, well, really, I was going to say, is that a skill?
I usually win that. But you have to do it. See, here's the trick. I don't want to give you the trick. You want to try it right now?
Well, I would think you have to know your opponent.
Are you good at scissors, paper, rock?
I told you, I'm pretty bad at it.
All right, then tell you what. On the count of 3, we'll just say scissors, because we're not on TV.
Right.
All right? 1, 2, 3, rock. No, you got to say it.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I forgot about the not on TV part. Well, see, I lose. I'm just bad at this game. I get a little stressed.
All right, Brandon, you do the 1, 2, 3 so we can think.
Ready? 1,
No, we're not. No, we're not ready. What do you think we're waiting for with the dead air? Are you ready? How was lunch? Pretty good.
Yeah, I had some chips. I'm actually jealous. I'm jealous of the chips.
All right, do it. Go ahead.
1,
yes,
2,
we're ready. Aren't you going to say ready this time?
Well,
I wasn't ready because you didn't say ready.
I wasn't eating this time. 1, 2, 3.
Scissors.
Shoot. 1, 2, 3.
Rock. Scissors.
Oh. Did I win? I think. Yeah, I said rock.
Yeah, best of 3.
Oh, really? 1, 2, 3.
Scissors.
Rock.
I've lost 2 out of 3. Thank you very much. Get out of here, you both of you. I didn't think you'd stick with rock. All right. It's Murph, 644-6767. Hey, the Bulls. Was that the most exciting Bulls basketball game ever played at the United Center? Oh, no, Murph. You know, MJ was there. I know that. I'm just saying, was yesterday's Bulls victory at the United Center, could you make the argument, yes or no, that it was the most exciting basketball game ever played at the United Center? And the Blackhawks game Saturday night, could you say this, Blackhawks fans, was it the most important hockey game ever played at the United Center? Now, we all know the old barn across the street was there since the 20s, the 30s. Lots happened over there. I know that. But Bulls fans, was that the most exciting basketball game ever played at the United Center? Blackhawk fans, was it the most important hockey game ever played at the United Center? Listen to some of these notes from the Daily Herald. The Bulls, they have not played multiple overtimes in the playoffs. Listen to this. They haven't had multiple overtimes in the playoffs since triple overtime loss to Phoenix in Game 3 of 1993, the finals at the stadium. That was a triple overtime loss. They haven't played multiple since. Also, The only other double overtime playoff in franchise history was MJ's 63-point performance in '86 in the loss at Boston. Remember that? 135-131. Double overtime loss when MJ scored the 63. Also, first time the Bulls had 2 overtime games in the same playoff series. Bulls, of course, they won game 1 in OT and then the double OT. I want to ask you to start also thinking back to yesterday's Bulls game with less than 1 second left in the first half. Remember, it was 0.8 seconds. Remember what happened? We're going to talk about that in a moment. And I just want to mention one thing. To Cub fans out there, or baseball fans, back in March, I said, here would be the best lineup. It'll never happen. Here would be the Cubs' best batting order lineup. Terrio, Fontenot, Ramirez, Bradley, Soriano, Hoffpower, Soto, Fukudome, and the pitcher. I'll give you that again because it went right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay. Terrio, Fontenot, Ramirez. Well, now I would put Fukudome in the 2-hole and move Fontenot to number 8 where I had Fuki. So let's go with this. How do you like this? Terrio, Fukudome, Ramirez, Bradley, Soriano, Hoffpower, Soto, Fontenot, and the pitcher. And as I said earlier, I start Coy Hill every day until he goes over. Until he takes the collar, I go with him every day. Let's go to Villa Park Sam on the score. Hello, Sam.
Hey, Murph, how are you?
Fine. Sam, what a weekend. We got Blackhawks and Bulls, 45,000 fans in 24 hours. Cubs and Sox playing some baseball that we can break those down 4 ways also. What do you have for me?
Well, here's the deal. This is what I think. I think this was the most exciting Bulls game only because we grew to expect these things from Michael Jordan. We never expected anything like this. That's what made it so exciting.
Well, you know what? You're exactly right, because it's all how you define, the word exciting. And all the great Jordan, I appreciate the call, all the great times with Michael Jordan, let's be honest, they were terrific games, fun, sometimes nail-biters, but that game yesterday has to go right down with the top Bulls games of all time, especially at the United Center. And when you look back and you see how few times they've had overtime games in the playoffs, the only other double OT playoff in the history of the franchise, MJ's loss in '86, 63 points. This is the first time ever the Bulls have had overtimes twice in the same series. Let's go back to Brett from Springfield. Hey, Brett.
Hey, Murph. How you doing? Pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
Listen, I wanted to pose something to you and just hang up to your comments.
Yeah.
What do you think about this with regards to Fukudome? Obviously, he put it up last year early. The league made an adjustment, and he went bad. Is it possible that he's now made an adjustment to the league's adjustment?
Oh, absolutely. What has happened, he's become more aggressive. This is just me looking at it. He's become much more aggressive on inside pitches, or less fearful, perhaps, of the inside pitch. He's been driving it. He's been turning on it, as they say, and he's jerking it, with some power. Now, he's still going on the outside to the opposite field. He's laid some beautiful hits out there right over shortstop left field, like he can do it, that little, sort of, if I can use the phrase, Japanese style of hitting the ball the other way, like, Ichiro. But he's been turning on it and jacking it. Now, how are they going to combat that? They're going to do something to him, and then he's got to be able to adjust for a third time. That's what all these guys have to do. But right now, yes, he has adjusted to them adjusting. I believe you have it right, Brett. Yes.
Yeah, it just seems like he's done something different this year. His approach is different.
Yeah, I just told you what he's doing. He's turning on it, and he's yanking it. He's jerking it down into right field, and evidently he's not backing off that inside pitch. He's hanging in there instead of bailing on it.
Well, at least we know he can adjust, and that's a good thing.
Now they're going to adjust. They're going to adjust back to him. Now he's got to readjust again, right?
Absolutely. He's got to readjust, Murph.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. All right. First half, Bulls game. Boston nails a 3-point bomb Clock stops with less than 1 second remaining in the half. 0.8. If you recall, Bulls call a timeout. They group up, come back, under their own basket. They have to do the overhand baseball pass down into the, trying to get it as close as they can down to maybe the top of the circle, down the other way. And I believe it was Tyrus Thomas that leaped up, tried to make the catch of the pass, which fumbled away, end of the half. The idea, of course, being a quick turnaround and try to get the shot off in the 0.8 seconds once you touch it. Maybe you get lucky with that once a year, 3-point shot. Now, Vinny Del Negro has been under so much criticism for his and rightfully so, of his misuse of timeouts. Here was a caller earlier today, Jimmy, I believe, to Hampton Homes, and he's all over Del Negro for calling that timeout with the 0.8 seconds to work up a play on the sidelines to maybe try to get that lucky baseball pass throw down and the 3-point shot. And again, once a year you might pull this thing off. Here's caller Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy, you're on the Hampton Home Show. What do you want to say about the Bulls?
Thanks, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Well, any Bulls discussion after a playoff game, we have to probably talk about, our favorite head coach. And my comment is, and I'll get your reaction from this after, why did he feel that it was necessary before halftime to take a timeout with 0.8 seconds? Like, can they really get a valuable possession out of that, or let alone a shot? Thanks again for taking the call, guys.
All right, let me just ask you. You watched the game, 644-6767. Let's take a break. It's Murph. I thought it was a well-timed timeout. Hey, you know what? Maybe you do get lucky and you get that 3-point shot going into the locker room. Let's bring in Keith from Rockford next on the Score this hour, brought to you by Menards. Hello, Keith.
Hey, how you doing, Murph?
Good. What do you have for me?
Well, the only game that really stands out that was as good as that was played in Chicago was Game 6 of 92 NBA Finals, Bulls-Portland, when the Bulls were down by 20 points at the start of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And Jackson took the Jordan and Pippen out, and it looked like they were conceding the white flag surrender. They put in the second string, and I was watching it with 100 Bulls fans at a bar in San Diego, and there was two Portland fans in there, and they were having the times of their life. And then the Bulls came back with the second string. Jordan got in there, and it was just the greatest comeback I've ever seen. And it was all started off of a second string rally. That was the best game to me. This one was a close second.
I remember that. And you, surrounded by the Portland fans at a sports bar in a hotel or whatever.
It was at Sluggo's on La Jolla, and when the Bulls won, the owner of the Sluggos gave out champagne to all the Bulls fans, and we sang "Na na na na, hey hey goodbye" to the Portland twosome when they left in shame.
I love it. As we always say, he who laughs last laughs best.
You got it.
Thank you very much from Rockford, Keith. Appreciate it, buddy. Murphapalooza back in a flash, driven to you by Chevy Drive Chicago.com. I got it right here, NBA.com. NBA timeout rules history. Wow. Hey, you're the head coach. It's your job. But the rules for timeouts are amazing. It's Murph. Welcome back. Oh, my caller, after he held all that long, I was going to go talk to him about the Milton Bradley signing. Well, that'll be a topic for many, many more Cubs sessions here on the Score. Hopefully Milton is back sooner rather than later, along with Ram and D. Lee. But 8.8 remaining in the first half. As you remember watching the game yesterday, Vinny called a timeout, and they tried to get the 3-point shot off and orchestrated at the end of the first half. Caller earlier, we replayed from a few minutes ago from Hampton Homes, and boy, oh boy, to Vinny Del Negro screwing up the timeouts again. Let's go to me. I thought it was the right thing to do. Car phone Dan on the Score. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Murph.
Hey.
I'm not the biggest Vinny Del Negro fan in the world, but actually on this one, he actually got this right because 20 seconds, you only get one per half. So
one what?
Actually, you only get one 20-second timeout a half. So if he doesn't use it, it would have been a waste of a timeout. And at least this way, he gets to drop a play. Now you can question why you'd drop a play for Tyrus Thomas at that scenario. That's a different scenario. But you know, considering how bad he is with timeouts, I thought this was actually one of his better ones. So.
And, you know, it's not that unbelievable of a play because the clock doesn't start until it's touched. If you can loft that, they call it baseball pass, down near your own top of the circle, you know, you can get a catch it, turn around, put it up, and these guys can do that from time to time, right?
Yeah, and so you get a huge momentum. You get the lead going into half. You get the crowd back into it. You eliminate all that Ray Allen three. I mean, it would have been a huge play if they would have converted on it, and then no one would be sitting there saying, well, why do you waste the timeout that he couldn't even save anyway? So.
Because it was 45-43 Bulls, and then that three-pointer right, it looked like at the buzzer, and then you have the quick timeout, and maybe you can come back and get the lead, like you say, for the... Yeah, so I'm with Vinny on that one. I think you did the exact right thing. Dan, I'm up against the clock. Phone again, okay, buddy?
Take care, Murph.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Nick from Oak Forest is on the score. Hey, Nick.
How you doing, Murph?
Good. What did you think at the end of the half?
Actually, I was just calling to comment the same way the previous guy did. The 20-second timeout, you can't take it to the locker room. Might as well use it. You know, I mean, miracles happen. You could do a lucky shot at the end of the half, but you can't take it with you, so you got to make the call.
So you say, you know what, Vinny, you've screwed up a lot of the timeouts, but that was the exact right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. Thanks, Nick.
All right, take it easy.
I appreciate it. Now, from NBA.com, the number of timeouts per team, it says here, in 2000 and 2001 was changed from 6 to 7. The number of fourth-period timeouts per team was changed from 3 to 4. By the way, there's about 30 of these. Next, number 3. The number of timeouts per team during the last 2 minutes of the fourth period or the last 2 minutes of an overtime period was changed from 2 to 3. You want another one? The full timeouts in regulation and overtime were reduced from 100 seconds to 60 seconds in the following, with the following exceptions. The first 2 timeouts in each period, regardless of which team calls them. During 20-second timeouts in the last 2 minutes of the fourth period or any overtime period, there are unlimited substitutions. There are 30 items right here on your knowledge of timeouts. And again, that's why you've got all these coaches alongside you. We took a little survey I did before the show began in the hallway here at the Score. And everybody said that the first half and the second half had their own fixed amount of timeouts. Use them or lose them in the first half. You don't carry them over. Turns out we were all wrong. Everyone that we talked to in the hallway here before the show, guys, you know, at the Score that know, you know, the rules, they all said, boy, off the top of my head, Murph, I think it should get 3 timeouts in the first half and then 3 timeouts in the second half. I said, so in other words, you could not, you would burn them in the first half. You don't hold them over. They go, no, you got 3 and then you start cleaning. Well, no, it turns out you have all 7 that go, but you got to use some in this situation, some in that situation. So it really is quite confusing, but that's why they have to know what they're doing. Hey, I saw a lot of people had a great time at the Hawks game Saturday. Saw our guy Lawrence Holmes was out there. Let's see, Mark Sapulsa from TV, Steve Cochran, saw Freddie Mitchell, Mark Giangreco, John McDonough, everybody wandering around, had a great time. Let's just hope we have a lot more Bulls and Blackhawks games here in Chicago throughout the month of May into June, if you know what I mean. Murph saying thanks for listening, thanks for calling. See you later, everybody.